Welcome to another episode of Daily Musings from Sacred Ground. I want to let you know that today's sharing is being influenced by the times in which we live. Just yesterday, rioters stormed the Capitol building, forcing members of Congress, members of the House and Senate into hiding in bunkers. And that is certainly informing my sharing for today. The Vietnamese Zen Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh, sometimes called Thay, he has written up 5 mindfulness trainings based on the 5 Buddhist precepts. And these are guidelines, if we choose to embrace them, that can move us toward non-suffering. The first of these is about reverence for life. And it's also important to think about context. Thay, as a young man, was living in a place of extreme violence and war. First with France, and then with the United States of America. And so that's the context in which these trainings were initially written. And the last sentence of the first training goes something like this. Seeing that harmful actions arise from anger, fear, greed, and intolerance, which in turn come from dualistic and discriminative thinking, I will cultivate openness, non-discrimination, and non-attachment to views in order to transform violence, fanaticism, and dogmatism within myself and in the world. To pick apart that sentence just a little bit, Thay tells us that harmful actions come from anger, fear, greed, and intolerance. But then he says anger, fear, greed, and intolerance come from a deeper level. They come from our dualistic and discriminative thinking. In other words, from our us versus them thinking. And I think we can almost all agree that in these times, in the United States and I think around the world, there's been an increase in that us versus them thinking. The chasms between people seem to be growing greater and greater. And Thay suggests that this is the source of harm. And what I find especially interesting is that he doesn't just say that dualistic thinking needs to stop among the Viet Cong or among the American soldiers in Vietnam, but that it has to change within himself. That we all have to attend to how are we dividing this one whole world into us versus them. So my invitation to myself and to you is in the next 24 hours, 48 hours, the next weekend, next week, to just try to increase our awareness a little bit of when we're speaking of them or us, or when we're thinking about them versus us. And see if we can even begin to move towards some of that openness, non-discrimination, and non-attachment that Thich Nhat Hanh recommends. I'm Michael Malley, and you've been listening to Daily Musings from Sacred Ground.